Welcome to a special edition of Live from My Office. This could be a before school or an after school edition for you, depending on what time you go to school. If you don't go to school anymore and you're working, it could be before work or after work. You can listen to this and watch this podcast any time of the day. It's quite brilliant, really, when you think about it. And after all those years on the radio, I feel more equipped than ever to talk to you, my friends, on Live from My Office. So why is this episode special? Well, we started a new format recently and a new show called Anything But Politics. And the premise is simple. On Mondays or Tuesdays, we're going to get you an episode with a friend of mine, and that friend and I will just kick around 5 topics. And those topics are anything but politics. The point being, if you're sick and tired to the point of being nauseous of all the political yelling and screaming and arguing and lying, Anything But Politics is the place for you. Just a brief break with stories that probably otherwise aren't getting covered. And we'll talk about them and have a good time on Anything But Politics. But we're not doing that today. No, today it's a special edition of Live from My Office, because all I want to do is expose the Anything But Politics audience to Live from My Office, and the Live from My Office regular group to Anything But Politics. And Live from My Office episodes drop every Thursday or Friday. Sometimes Saturday morning if I'm late. Sorry, Ross. So we're here today for this special episode, and on this Live from My Office episode, early week version, we're going to talk about the twit. This week in Trump. I take the Trump stories that pile up like a bad accident on the highway, and I boil them down into easily digestible nuggets for you. And I write about it fairly regularly on Substack. So look for the twit in Substack. Just go to substack.com, Steve Cochran, and you'll find me. Please subscribe there as well. And the deal is this. I like to give you the straight on politics. I don't care what party you are. I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat. I'm neither one. They both fuck up regularly. And it's time for better. So I'm just trying to inspire you through writing and here as well, on a lot of occasions anyway, to take a look at what you believe and what you don't believe, and absolutely give you facts. In the 10 years Trump's been in this game, and I met Trump back in the 80s, but in the 10 years he's been doing politics at this level, I've never lied to you once. I didn't lie to you on the radio. I'm not lying to you now. And every time I bring up something about Trump, if it's not a punchline, it's a fact-based opinion, and you can do with it as you please. But the fact that you're here and watching or listening tells me you are an engaged individual who wants to know all that they can, not just from me, obviously, but from everybody. So you can form an opinion on politics and move forward in trying to save this country. So that tells you why we're doing Live from My Office today. Anything but politics later in the week, and next week we flip it back to the regular schedule. So yeah, check out Substack. Know that we have some cool live shows coming up, some dates to announce very soon. Social media, please follow me there. Cochran Show, Steve Cochran Show, just about every platform you can imagine. Though I have to admit, I've been a little lax on MySpace recently. CochranShow.com is where all of the episodes of Live from My Office live. And our Live from My Office YouTube channel up now. If you're watching it, you know that. If not, come on over. And don't forget about the Survive 2025 gear, which you can get very simply. Go to cochranshow.com, Survive 2025. And we have shirts, and we have hats, and we have me trying to figure out a way to hold up my own shirt. As I scroll it across the screen, if you're watching, you can see that it's a beautiful dark blue with white and red lettering, and it's Survive 2025. Survive 2025, cochranshow.com, Survive 2025. And you can get a shirt or a hat, which doesn't fit over my headphones. All right, moving on. Apt.com, also our sponsors, and the wonderful people at Apt. Pleasing people since the dawn of mankind, since the Big Bang occurred. My friends at Apt, ABT.com. They have given me a stack of $50 gift cards to give away, and I'm doing it again. That's the thing. You're listening now is the only place you're going to get this phrase that pays. I'll give you the phrase that pays. You put it in an email to me along with your home address, and I'll send you a gift card. Here's today's phrase. Hey, Steve, where's mine? You tired of everybody else winning? Hey, Steve, where's mine? And while supplies last, I'll be sending out those gift cards, but make sure you include your home address along with your, one-liner telling me you know the phrase that pays. Hey, Steve, where's mine? Send it to thecochranshow at gmail.com. So no need to thank me, but let's do twit. Let's talk about this week in Trump. First up, it's more destruction of the economy and America's place in the world as well from Donald Trump. You saw all the money-related issues, and most recently you likely saw that he's also gotten another free pass from the Supreme Court to just mass fire people. No due process in any part of the world for anyone, by the way, including Trump. He doesn't need due process. He just lies his way out of things. But here's the deal. The defunding of NPR and public television is getting a big fight against, including some Republicans who are even chiming in quietly. And I'm telling you, President Trump, I know you listen and I know you watch on our YouTube channel. You don't want Big Bird as an enemy. You couldn't imagine what he could do to your car. And as far as the cast of Sesame Street, every single one of them could beat you straight up in an election. And especially the Count. Can you imagine how well the Count would handle money? 1, 2, 3. He would have those numbers down perfectly. Now, the only problem is going to be explaining to Bert and Ernie why they can't run together. But we're not talking about defunding public television, NPR, and other things, or even the mass firings. Because there's things that Trump clearly lies about, and there's things he clearly doesn't understand. And in the case of tariffs, he couldn't be dumber. His confidence is just the most ridiculous, long-standing joke. As a matter of fact, he can't even explain it. Donald Trump, on telling us what he's trying to do with his magical tariffs.
Basically, what we're doing is equalizing. There's a new word that I came up with, which I think is probably the best word. We're going to equalize.
All right, let me see this. Let me break this down one more time. Did he say he came up with the word?
Basically, what we're doing is equalizing. There's a new word that I came up with, which I think is probably the best word. We're going to equalize.
Look, he couldn't be more wrong. And now he's on the verge of pissing off our allies more, not just Canada and Mexico, but all of Europe. And for the 1 millionth time, tariffs are taxes charged on goods that are bought from other countries. And we pay the tax. When a company imports something and is charged a tariff, it is because we have cranked the number up, Donald Trump, and you're going to pay more. I'll give you a concrete example. Companies here pay, and they pass the cost on to us. For example, Mattel makes a bunch of toys. If Mattel decided to make a special edition, a Trump doll, Barbie wives sold separately, and it's sold for $100, and you slapped a 30% tariff on China where it was made, well, then Walmart or whomever is now paying $130 for it. And you're going to eat the extra cost. That's just basic economics, and he doesn't get it. Now, if I could pause for a second. Now that I said the Trump doll idea out loud, he's probably going to steal that and probably going to make it himself and sell it. I would just say if you do that, just make sure it has real lying action. That'll make it more fun for the kids. Next up on this parade of this week in Trump, Donald Trump wants a trophy. That's right. He loves trophies, even though he never wins them for real. There's a great book about his cheating on the golf course called Commander in Cheat, which I recommend you read. It's funny, entertaining. You don't have to like golf to love the book. But yeah, cheats at golf all the time to the point where he claims to have won somewhere between 18 and 25 club championships. And most recently, one in which he didn't play one of the rounds. It's all a steaming pile of bullshit. In 2016 at a rally, a vet actually gave him the Purple Heart that vet earned in war. Trump said, "I've always wanted one of these, and get it this way is easier." Yeah, because I'm sure your feet still hurt. And for years, Trump displayed a fake magazine cover saying he was Time's Person of the Year. He won for real in 2016, but the next year he found out preemptively before the release that he wasn't going to win 2 years in a row. So he said he turned it down before the issue came out. Time magazine came out and said, no, he didn't win. It was never offered to him. So he loves trophies. He doesn't worry about earning them, but he just loves trophies. And why wouldn't he win the Nobel Prize? I mean, think about how smart he is.
Nobody knows more about taxes than I do and income than I do.
Nobody knows more about construction than I do.
Nobody knows more about campaign finance than I do.
I know more about drones than anybody. Nobody knows much more about technology, this type of technology, certainly, than I do.
Nobody knows more about technology than me.
Nobody's in the history of this country has ever known so much about infrastructure as Donald Trump. I know the H-1B. I know the H-2B. Nobody knows it better than me.
I know more about ISIS than the generals do, believe me. I understand things. I comprehend very well, okay? Better than, I think, almost anybody.
And by the way, who knew the other side of the picture better than me? I knew it.
Nobody knows more about environmental impact statements than me. I understand the power of Facebook, maybe better than almost anybody. I know more about renewables than any human being on Earth. Nobody knows more about polls than me. I know more about courts than any human being on Earth.
I know more about steelworkers than anybody that's ever run for office.
I know more about golf than Obama knows.
Nobody knows more about banks than I do.
Nobody knows more about trade than me.
Well, obviously, he doesn't know about nuclear weapons. I know more about nuclear weapons than he'll ever know.
I understand the tax laws better than almost anyone.
Who knows more about lawsuits than I do? I'm the king.
I know more about offense and defense than they will ever understand.
And nobody even understands it but me. It's called devaluation.
I understand money better than anybody.
I understand the system better than anybody. Nobody knows more about debt than
It just makes you feel better. It just makes you feel better when you hear Trump and how confident, incorrect, but confident he is. By the way, when he's not sending ICE agents to elementary schools, he's also making big plans for the American education system.
So we have the worst education almost in the large world, the world that people know about.
The world that people know about, the large world, as opposed to the medium and smaller worlds. And if, you know, that statement on the surface is sort of offensive, but then you think about it, you go, well, Trump was educated in the American education system, so maybe it is terrible. Meanwhile, does Donald Trump deserve the Nobel Prize? If you go to theconversation.com, 5 experts on the Nobel Prize will tell you. Benjamin Netanyahu has done the formal thing here, and clearly it was transactional. He nominated Trump for the Peace Prize. Again, you can read the professionals' take on this at theconversation.com. And if you don't have time, the spoiler alert here is all 5 of their answers rhyme with no. All right. Another fine use of his time. You think the guy with the most important job in the world would be too busy to write stupid social posts. But no, in Donald Trump's case, there's always room for stupid. Now he's back and fighting with Rosie O'Donnell one more time. You may remember that these two, well, they tussled before.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
Classy. Very, very classy. Trump wrote, because of the fact that Rosie O'Donnell is not in the best interests of our great country, I'm giving serious consideration to taking away her citizenship. She's a threat to humanity and should remain in the wonderful country of Ireland if they want her. In caps, God bless America. Here's a bulletin. I'm sure Trump doesn't know this either, but along with the fact that this fight started years ago, and is largely for entertainment, it's a 14th Amendment thing. I know Trump avoids the Constitution unless it serves him. But no, he can't revoke Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship or anybody else's, for that matter. So let's move on. This is not exactly Sophie's choice, but when you have a tough choice, who are you going to believe? Are you going to believe right-wing nuts like Dan Bongino and Kash Patel at the FBI? Or Attorney General Pam Bondi, who lies as much as Trump and not as well? Now, the fighting's going on right now over the Epstein files and a missing minute in the security footage. And as recently as just before we started recording this podcast, on the morning of July 15th, Bondi and Trump stood up again, Trump backing her up again. Everybody in MAGA world wants those Epstein files, and Donald Trump doesn't need for you to see them. Bongino in particular has been loud about this. He did radio for a long time and a podcast for a long time as well. Wasn't that long ago that he was saying things like this.
I've already told you the Epstein story. Let's just say a friend who knows about something, if you've heard the story, was on the plane with Clinton with the Epstein thing, and he said, I'm out of here, Daddy-O. I told that story quite a few times, so I know a lot about this story. There are a lot of people who know old Jeff. A lot of people. So it's kind of weird, like this client list is about to come out. Everybody got quiet all of a sudden.
I was no Rush Limbaugh fan, but he was way above anything Bongino ever tried in front of a microphone. And Bongino may be going back to podcasting. He's threatening to resign his post as number 2 at the FBI. Now, the rumors around this continue to circle that if anybody takes a fall here, it's going to be Bondi, and that Governor DeSantis from Florida may actually be picked to replace her. But he keeps defending her, and he's defending her bigly. And when he's big, when he's doing something bigly, it's a big deal. He's doing it on Truth Social, and the comments run this gamut of things similar to this phrase. What's going on with my boys? And in some cases, gals. They're all going after Pam Bondi, who's doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration. The talk of the world. Well, he's not wrong about that. And selfish people are trying to hurt it, all over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. Now, forget about what a horrible human being Jeffrey Epstein was in his time on Earth. If he was murdered, you should probably know. And as opposed to saying things like Trump says, how about let's investigate and get to the bottom of it, as the president might do? Again, something he never did when he was charged and convicted of crimes as well. He just played lawyer tricks to get out of the trials in general. This, of course, is a classic Trump move. Anything shady from him is dismissed as fake news or nobody cares until people get tired of it. Well, they seem to care about this. They care about it in ways that are a little bit surprising. So why is MAGA so upset about this? It could be a number of things. Trump made this promise along with many others. He's broken many of them. But for whatever reason, this one's landing. It's about abusing and criminally assaulting children. And there's no reason to believe that MAGA folks wouldn't be upset about that. But is it also a chance to get the Dems? Because even though this is a little bit bipartisan, Democrats making the mistake of sitting back and enjoying this from a campaign perspective, as opposed to speaking out and having a point. But on the MAGA side, the wrong side of the Republicans, is this the dark side that they've talked about for years? Is this that incredible nonsense about celebrity pedophiles and a group of elitists who are going to take you down the swamp, as it was, and as it will, and as it is in all of their brains? I just, this is such a stupid argument. If you spend any time in and around Congress, they can't decide if the color of the sky is blue. If you've spent any time watching the way corporations are run, you have to know that they don't get in a room together and decide we're going to rule the world. Rockefeller's been dead for a lot of years. So have the others who were once in charge of the industrial world and could pull something like this off. It's not possible. The election wasn't fake. Nobody is coming to get your guns, and there's no secret society of pizza-loving pedophiles. Yes, Jeffrey Epstein should get his day in court while he burns in hell, because you deserve to know if Epstein was murdered. So why is Trump pushing back on this? Well, the one thing you'll notice, and maybe it goes to the theory of why MAGA is so upset about this, they're not really going after Trump. They're going after Bondi. And, we'll see where it plays out. So I guess I put it in a poll. Who do you believe? Do you believe Bongino and Kash Patel? Do you believe Attorney General Bondi? Do you believe Pinocchio? How about John Lovitz, the liar from Saturday Night Live? Oh, I know. Do you believe George Costanza when George has to explain why he had sex with a hooker at work?
Was that wrong? Should I not have done that? I tell you, I gotta plead ignorance on this thing, because if anyone had said anything to me at all when I first started here that sort of thing was frowned upon, because I've worked in a lot of offices, and I tell you, people do that all the time.
So we'll find out. We'll find out who to believe. Will the truth ever come out about any of it? And coming up in the next few days, Trump's supposed to make a major announcement about Russia. It looks like his major announcement is he's gone taco again. Trump always chickens out. After saying he was going to supply the weapons needed and more to Ukraine, now he's saying, they should probably fight their own war. Europe should kick in. That's This Week in Trump for now. I hope we've all learned something together. Thank you for listening, and thank you for reading as well, if you catch it on Substack. Slightly different version there, as I said. But in honor of Trump's constant lying, George Costanza kind of made me think, who is the all-time liar? I mean, I'd take Trump every time on that bet. But if you're going to DraftKings, maybe you would take George. I mean, the man was a legend.
So, George, how do I beat this lie detector?
I'm sorry, Jerry, I can't help you.
Come on, you got the gift. You're the only one that can help me.
Jerry, I can't. It's like saying to Pavarotti, teach me to sing like you.
All right, well, I gotta go take this test. I can't believe I'm doing this.
Jerry, just remember, it's not a lie if you believe it.
A legend for sure. Thank you for listening to Live from My Office. Thank you, Ross Cochran, for producing Live from My Office. Thank you, ABT ELECTRONICS, for sponsoring, and also for these gift cards that we're giving away. Remember the phrase, hey, Steve, where's mine? Send me an email to thecochranshow@gmail.com with that phrase that pays in your home address, and I'll send you an ABT gift card. thecochranshow@gmail.com. Check out this YouTube channel. If you're listening and not seeing, check it out. It's the Live from My Office YouTube channel. You can subscribe there as well, and we appreciate it, as you can at substack.com, Steve Cochran. All right, we'll see you next time. We do this when we get together in front of this funny wall and we talk and stuff. Thank you for listening to Live from My Office.
Thank you for listening to Live from My Office, a service of Monkey Run Productions. All rights reserved. The podcast is hosted by Steve Cochran, and it's mixed, edited, and produced by me, Ross Cochran. Steve is available for corporate speaking gigs. He would love to MC your event, and occasionally, he's funny. Thank you for listening. Head to cochranshow.com for more.